Welcome. Hi, how are you? Good. I recognize you were at Teresa's last night, right? Yeah. Anyone else at Teresa's last night? You were too? Yes. Cool. We'll wait probably just about another minute and get started because it's starting at 1:30. So, how long have you guys been unschooling? Just curious. I already checked with them. Have you been? How long have you been unschooling?
I went to school age, was 18 year.
Oh, okay. Awesome. What about you guys?
So just under a year.
Just under a year. Okay.
Just under a year.
And how old are you?
8 and 5.
8 and 5.
So we were doing a form of homeschooling the year before, and really stumbled upon the concept of unschooling. It was just what really resonated with us.
Awesome. What about you? And how long have you been unschooling?
Let's see.
I recognize you from last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So last year, after the conference, we declared ourselves unschoolers.
Awesome.
And we started a little group called Unschooling Beginners,
Okay.
which was like people in my area who I didn't even know were like unschooling leaning.
Yay.
Let's just learn together.
Very cool.
So after my first year, I still have more questions. And so
Yeah. That's awesome. What about you?
Well, 1 year ago I watched the movie Being Independent. And that was like all the fears that I have about I would not be able to do that. It was like, no, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But I have only a 2.5-year-old child, so it's easy for the moment for me.
Awesome. Yeah. Hey, but that's a good time to start, right? How about you?
Just about a year.
Just about a year?
Yeah.
6 and 4. You're in the beginning. Right. Awesome. How about you?
I came in late. Sorry.
Oh, I was just kind of checking in with everyone how long they've been unschooling.
I have an 11 and an 8-year-old. And probably officially 2.5, 3 years.
2.5, 3 years? Awesome. Cool. Jerry, what about you?
I would say we're not in schooling for a long time.
Okay.
My daughter's 12. She only went to school for 1 year.
Okay.
My boy's never been to school. But I wouldn't always call it unschooling. I think we're still very much on the path towards what that is.
You're kind of some kind of eclectic blend of
Yeah,
what you mean?
still a lot of deschooling is going on.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. How long you been unschooling?
Well, John's 18 and she's never been to school, and so I would say kindergarten we were homeschooling.
Okay.
I realized it was back there and stopped at that point.
Yeah.
And then I have 3, 16, a 10, and a 6-year-old.
That'd have been
Yeah,
awesome. Well, cool. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to Feelings and Family, how to safely express feelings and needs to resolve patterns of family conflict. I don't know about you. We have family conflict. I'm guessing maybe you too, a little bit, just a little bit. Okay, great. There's a little technical difficulty that we had, so I'm gonna have to be working off 2 computers, so bear with me. See, like I don't even know how to do this one. Yeah, okay. So, first thing I want to check with you, how you guys doing? How you feeling? Good? Okay, so how many times a day do we ask that question, right? It's kind of a social habit. We don't really necessarily want to know what the cab driver or the mailman is feeling, but we do it out of a social habit. And we ask that question because we recognize that, see, there we go, sorry about this. We ask that question because we recognize that feelings are at the center of our lives. But there are times when we really do want to know what someone else is feeling and what we really do want to share with what's going on inside with us. And right now, today, I really want to know what you guys are feeling. So Justin is going to pass out. Oh, and I didn't even introduce my sidekick, my assistant, Justin. This is my son, unschooling from the beginning. So he's going to go around and pass a piece of paper and a pen. And what I'd like you to do is write down what you're feeling right now And then underneath it, write down a feeling that perhaps you may have been feeling earlier today that was kind of prominent. Because we've had feelings come and go all day long, as you know, so just kind of see what you're feeling right now. Take your time.
Earlier was right.
And so write down, the first one you want to do is write down what you're feeling right now. And then underneath that, write down what you were feeling maybe earlier today. Does everyone have it?
Should we write one feeling that you
No, you can just write on the same paper because you'll need that other piece for something else later. And then when everyone's done, Justin will collect them. Take your time. Huh?
Do you write your name?
If you'd like to write your names, you don't have to. I won't put you on the spot. Handwriting will not be graded here, so you're good there. And if you're done, you can just kind of raise your hand and Justin will come around and collect it. And if you're not, continue to take your time. Welcome.
I have mine.
Don't forget her. Don't forget her feelings. Is that pretty much everybody, or take your time, Crystal?
Sorry.
That's okay. Okay, go ahead and finish. Okay, just right with you. So we actually have a lot of feelings, right? As this poster kind of shows and we've all experienced. So I'm going to read some of the feelings that you guys have expressed. Okay, so right now, someone in here is feeling excited and tired. Before they were feeling tired. Someone is feeling peaceful, and earlier today they were feeling vulnerable. Someone right now is feeling annoyed. I love that. And someone earlier today was feeling hungry. Someone right now is feeling ashamed. Someone right now is feeling between two chairs, wondering where my son and husband are. Okay, great. Someone right now is feeling tired, and earlier they were feeling curious. Connected, tired, just kind of go, unhappiness, frustration, pleasant, happy and interested, anticipation, calm, conflicted, frustrated, disappointed, calm, excitement, a little anxious, proud of myself, and open and uncomfortable. So now I'll share a little bit about what I'm feeling. I'm feeling excited. I'm excited to be here. I'm a little nervous too because I'm really wanting this to go well, and I'm really wanting to connect at the heart level with you guys. And I'm feeling hopeful that that's going to be able to take place and that's going to happen. Okay. So, gonna go over, oh, sorry. So a little bit of overview. I'm going to talk a little bit about emotions. What are these things that we're having all the time, and they come and they go, and we feel through a myriad of them in sometimes 5 minutes. I'm also going to go over a game called the No Fault Zone game. It's a conflict resolution game that I've found to be one of the best tools to help de-escalate conflicts and get to the heart of the matter. Then I'm going to give a personal demonstration of the game. And then I'm going to open it up to you guys. And if you're open and willing, I would love for you to volunteer, and I can facilitate you through the game if you have any minor conflicts or any kind of feelings that might be up for you. And I'll facilitate that. Okay, so. Sorry, I got to go to 2 computers here. Okay, so. Okay, so for most of us, if not all of us, unschooling is about an awakening. It's an awakening to realize that the education system isn't for us, whether it's just not a good fit for our family. And one of the things we kind of realize is it's not really about the reading, writing, and arithmetic. It's more about how are they feeling toward what they are learning. Well, when Joe and I, and that's my husband back there, videotaping, when we became pregnant with Justin, we had an awakening, and we coined it our awakening coming out of the fog. In short, it was we realized we had suppressed and repressed so many emotions from our childhood as a survival strategy. It was the beginning of a healing journey, and it's one that we're still on today. But one of the things that really came out of that awakening in those early years, we were really hit with one powerful revelation. And that is that unconditional love is our birthright. It's all our birthrights. But that got us to kind of thinking, well, what is unconditional love? I mean, everything we had always experienced was conditional love. So for us, what we came up with was it's the freedom to safely express all your emotions without judgment and punishments. So our parenting goal was to allow Justin to safely express all of his feelings. Our thinking was that if we could just do that, if we could allow him the environment to safely feel his emotions without judging or punishing him, everything else would fall into place. Learning, compassion, understanding, healing, reaching one's potential, all of that would be a natural consequence of being able to have the freedom to safely feel. Oh, guys, I'm messing up here, sorry. As A.S. Neal says, if the emotions are free, intellect will look after itself. Of course, that's so much easier said than done, right? It's hard to do. And the reason it's hard to do is we hadn't acknowledged and felt many of our own strong emotions. Most of us weren't allowed to express our feelings, so we have a lot of a backlog of unresolved, unfelt, and unexpressed feelings. And there's a reason for that. That's because there's a historical and prevalent false belief that emotions are a moral weakness, and they should be suppressed and controlled, especially children's strong feelings. And often this is done in very harsh ways: shaming, threatening, punishment, other ways, distraction, food, movement. Basically anything can be a distraction from feeling our feelings. Okay. So symbolic of the era, just to give you kind of an example of how entrenched it really is, the president of the American Psychological Association in 1915 believed that emotion was a moral weakness and needed to be controlled, and that love, the most intense of the emotions, needed to be restrained as early as possible. In fact, emotional intelligence didn't even become popular until 1995 when Daniel Goleman wrote a book about it. And he defined it as the ability to recognize and identify your own feelings and others. He talked a little bit about how EQ is more important than IQ, and the reason is because emotional learning includes safely feeling through emotions and listening and talking in ways that resolve conflict instead of escalating it. So when Justin was about 4 or 5, I created a class called All About Feelings for his peers. And in that class, there's about 8 or 9 kids, and they're ranging from about 4 to 6. And in that class on the first day, I decided one of the questions that I was going to ask them is, what was the hardest feeling for them to express? So I want to ask you guys today, if you'll take that little piece of paper out and the pen again, and write down, you don't have to put your name on it, so remember that, what is the hardest feeling for you to express? And then Justin will collect them. Yeah. Oh yeah, sure.
What do you mean harder?
Pardon me?
What do you mean harder?
So, yeah, what is the most difficult feeling for you to express, you know?
Is it difficult because you wouldn't like to express it and you express it too easily? Or is it difficult because you can't express it, you really can't?
The latter, because you really can't express it, you really have a hard time expressing it.
What if there's a tie?
That's good, you can put ties count. You can put 2. Does everyone have a piece of paper? I know you came in a little bit later. Here, did you just hear what we were asking? It's a quiz, and you will be graded.
Just pop quiz. This is about as pop quizzy as
You can't get it wrong, and we won't put you on the spot, so don't worry about it. You don't even have to play if you don't want. So, what you're writing down is, what is the hardest feeling or emotion for you to express? What's the hardest emotion to express for you?
Oh, come on.
There's no wrong answer, though, really.
Okay, I know.
Yeah, okay, so those of you who just walked in, we're going to give you a piece of paper and a pen. And your assignment for today, should you choose to accept it, is write down what the hardest feeling is to express for you. So what emotion is the emotion that's the hardest to express? And if you're done, or when you're done, you can just raise your hand and Justin will pick them up. Otherwise, take your time. You've got a little bit of time here. Yes?
Express or feel? Those are 2 different things.
No, good question, right. Let's do both. I'm just trying to, yeah. No, it's a good question, though, absolutely. Either one, or both.
I'm emotionally verbal.
Yes, oh, you
I have a question.
Yes.
All I can think of is when I feel hurt by somebody. But that's kind of like a judgment word. So how do I translate that into an emotion?
No, hurt. Hurt is an emotion. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Awesome. You guys are amazing. Pardon me? Yes, yes. Yeah. Now they're all popping up, right? Okay. I'll start reading some, and then Jess will pick them up and bring two. So, awesome. Oh, thank you. I bet I can guess. Pain? Hurt? Okay, great. So, when I posed that question, thank you, to my group, my little, independent study that I did, if you will, to these 4, 5, and 6-year-olds, about 8 or 10 of them, when I posed that question to them, I barely got the question finished before one of the little girls yelled out, and everyone else agreed in unison. The emotion was sadness. It was a surprise to me because when I was designing the class, I kind of guessed what I thought they would say, and I thought it would be anger. That speaks to me, obviously. Let's read a few of what you guys wrote down. Anger, mistrust, alienated, misunderstood, shame, big one, yes, hurt, despair, serenity, okay, feel despair, express serenity, anger, I'm afraid anger automatically leads to violence, love, I feel ashamed, embarrassed, stress, anxiety, vulnerability, anger, love, vulnerability, sadness, all are difficult after so many years of suppressing them. When my feelings are hurt, anger, vulnerability. I express easily, but maybe not the best delivery. Fear, embarrassment, humiliation, shame, shame, anger, yes. So a lot of feelings that we really struggle with expressing. So what do we do with them? We suppress them, right? In one way or the other. And suppressing them can cause emotional strain, physical illness, or just discomfort. So the one thing we want to emphasize at this point, that it's not our fault. And for centuries, we have been conditioned and programmed to suppress our emotions. It's a multi-generational problem. And as Gabriel Mate, who is a physician who specializes in addictions and mind and body connection, says, the repression of emotion is a survival strategy. So I want to talk a little bit about the importance of feelings. One of the primary reasons we have feelings is to help us evaluate our experiences. Bad or negative feelings can be vital clues to our health, to relationships, or other important matters that need attention. And the survival value of negative thoughts and emotions can help explain why suppressing them is ineffective. Studies show that suppressing your feelings doesn't make them go away. In fact, it makes them grow stronger. I'm going to go over just a little bit of research on suppressing emotions. In a 2009 study, people in treatment for alcohol abuse and addiction completed a questionnaire that assessed their drinking-related urges and cravings, as well as any attempts to suppress thoughts related to drinking over a 24-hour period. The study found that those who often fought against intrusive alcohol-related thoughts actually harbored more of them. Similar findings from a 2010 study suggested that pushing back negative emotions could spawn more emotional overeating than simply recognizing that you were, say, upset, agitated, or blue. I can speak personally to that one. I definitely emotionally eat. It's one of mine. In a 2011 study, some participants, but not others, were told to suppress an unwanted thought prior to sleep. Those who tried to muffle the thought reported dreaming about it more. So suppressing thoughts and feelings can be harmful. Another study in 2012 researchers measured the stress response based on heart rate in adults in treatment for alcohol dependence while exposing them to alcohol-related cues. Participants were also measured for their tendency to suppress thoughts. The study found that those who restrained their thinking more often had stronger stress responses to the cues than did those who suppressed their thoughts less frequently. So as Gabriel Mate says, after doing this, and this is not one time, of course, this is over a period of time, it becomes a source of physiological illness later on. So feelings are at the center of our lives. And when we get together with friends and family, we want to hear what our family and friends are feeling, and we want to share what we're feeling. But often that can create tension, understandable, natural tension and conflict. But when we can talk about our feelings, they become less overwhelming and they become less scary. And there's a good reason for that. Actually, there's a biological reason for that. Recent brain research shows that when we recognize how we feel, we name it and we describe the physical sensation and reflect on it, we're able to calm ourselves down and gain more perspective. And I just love this research. It backs up kind of what, experientially I've felt before. So when we put a label on our negative emotions, such as anger or fear or hurt, disgust, which is what you guys did just a little while ago, it causes our brain to spray a neurotransmitter on our amygdala, the part of the brain involved in the recognition of fear and danger and in fight, flight, or freeze. This neurotransmitter, which I'm not even going to try to pronounce, induces relaxation, reduces stress and anxiety, and increases focus. So, we're going to do a little bit of that today. We're going to recognize what we're feeling and needing so that we can get our brains a chance to have some of that neurotransmitter sprayed on our amygdala. We're going to play the no-fault zone game. I can't take credit for this game. It was created by Sarah Hart and Victoria Kendall Hodson. Anyone have ever heard of this game, by the way? No Fault Zone? No? Okay. It is based on NVC, nonviolent communication. Anyone heard of that? Yeah? Okay, cool. Which was founded by Marshall Rosenberg. Okay. So just a few things before we jump into the game, or before I give you my personal demonstration and then ask for volunteers. One of the things that Rosenberg did in his research was discover that everything we say and do is a strategy to meet a basic human need. That sounds kind of powerful, right? Every single thing we say and do, is a strategy to meet a basic human need. And he contends, and many people have agreed, that when we understand this, when we understand that the needs that motivate our behaviors and others' behaviors, we have no enemies. So, there's 4 components for the no-fault game. They are observation, feelings, needs, and request. And when you play this game, it's a time when you really want to deeply connect with what's going on in yourself and what's going on in others. I'm going to go over just a little bit of the observation piece of the game. But you do not need to wrap your brain around this, because that's what I will facilitate when we actually get to the game. But just to kind of touch on it, observations without evaluation or opinion are an important element of the game, because when we combine observation with evaluation, people are apt to hear criticism and resist what we're saying, or they get defensive. Anyone ever got that way at all? Kind of sneaks up on me before I even realize it. Okay, and the game doesn't ask that we remain completely objective. It just requires that you have an awareness of the difference of observation versus evaluation. Okay, just some really quick examples. Again, I'll facilitate this part. Observation mixed with evaluation or opinion. An example of that is, you're too generous. An observation separated from evaluation is, when you give $20 to the street musician, I think you were too generous. See the difference there? Yeah, okay, cool. These are out of the NVC book. I'm not claiming credit for this, and I didn't reinvent the wheel, so just so you know. An opinion, another example. Doug procrastinates. Observation. Doug only studies for exams the night before. I mean, when you can kind of imagine what both of those being said to you, if they're about you, you can check in with your body. You can actually feel a difference in how it's received. Okay, another example. Opinion. You seldom do what I want. Observation. The last 3 times I initiated an activity, you said you didn't want to do it. Difference? You feel it? See it?
You
Okay.
can still say them with attitude and make them sound just as bad.
Well, tone matters, absolutely. Absolutely. I could do each one of those with a tone that would do exactly what you're saying, right? So you have to do the tone too. Okay, so I'm going to take one of the hardest emotions to express, at least according to my little mini study with my 4, 5, 6-year-olds back then, and use this as an example for the game. Just real quick though, a couple things about sadness is, contrary to popular belief, sadness isn't something to be avoided. Despair can happen when we avoid sadness, and because for many sadness is uncomfortable and it's not acceptable in our society generally to express it, we immediately turn sadness into what we think will hurt less: anger, hopelessness, or helplessness. Okay, this is the personal demonstration part, and I wanted it to be really fresh, so I did this morning. When Justin was 5 years old, I obviously was feeling very, very stressed. I may get emotional, by the way. And we had to go drop off a video. It was Blockbuster was closed, so we just had to slip it in the little slot, right? And Justin wanted to do it, but I was so stressed, and now I can't even tell you why I was stressed, that was not an option. And in my stress, I called him a brat. This goes back to your, Teresa's, for those of you who are in there, about unconscious bias. And so, using that event that happened 15 years ago, at the time, obviously, I was very angry, right? 15 years later, I still have strong emotions that come up for it. And there's a good reason for that. When I was a kid, I was called a brat, and it hurt me very, very much. And I didn't get a chance to ever feel through. I didn't get a chance to express it. As much as I've just shared with you, our goal is to do this, and I get it intellectually that I need to feel through all this stuff. It's hard possible, and it takes time, and it's a lifelong journey. So the beauty of this game is it can really help facilitate some of that for us. So I did this morning, and as I took a picture of the cards. So here are the cards, and I'm going to walk you through how you play this game using the cards, okay? So here are the feeling cards. They're in red. And I've got several decks here that are later, okay? And then on a bunch of feelings. And so you take your observation. And for that story that I just shared with you, the observation would be, when I think about how when Justin was 5 years old and I called him a brat, okay, so there's no judgment. I'm not, just kind of real, just an observation. And then I go through the feeling cards, and I pick out the feelings that come up for me when I think about that, and that I resonate with. So I did, and these were the feelings that came up for me. I felt sad, I felt hurt, I felt upset, I felt confused, and I felt concerned. See that? And then, you're done with picking out your feelings cards, you put the feeling cards down, you pick up the needs cards, and you go through the needs. They're the yellow ones, and on the back, a bunch of needs, basic human needs. It's not a definitive list. It's, you can always add your own if you need to. And you go through the needs that were underlying the emotions. Now, what Rosenberg, all this research, others too, basically when we have negative emotions, it's a result of an unmet need, right? What he said earlier, if you understand the needs behind the behavior, we have no enemies, because they're just they're maybe seeking a non-productive strategy to meet their need, but they're still just trying to meet a basic human need. So when we have negative emotions, it's as a result of an unmet need. When we have positive emotions, it's a result of a need being met, a basic human need being met. So when I think about my calling Justin a brat when he was 5 years old, I want to go hug him right now. I feel sad. I felt sad. Now I go through and I think about the needs that weren't met or that I'm needing. So I felt sad because I was needing empathy, right? I was needing to mourn. Not celebration. I don't know why they put these two needs on the same card, but it was mourning. That's the need for me, and have a good cry, and I did this morning, as you might imagine. And I needed unconditional love, both for myself and for the way that I interacted with Justin. I also felt hurt. I was needing, the needs under that for me, could be different for everybody, was I needed some understanding that I was stressed and I was triggered, right? I was needing some caring and kindness for myself and for Justin. And I was needing trust that I could move through this and work on this so that this wouldn't be a pattern in my behavior as a parent, even at 20. For the feeling of upset for me, the needs that I was needing was power with my world. I needed confidence and power with my world that I wouldn't call my son a brat because I was stressed out. And I felt confused, and I was needing clarity and self-acceptance. Clarity around, what the heck was that about, right? I knew intellectually I was called a brat, and I had some unresolved stuff. But damn it, I wasn't going to pass it down, that kind of stuff. And self-acceptance, that I was doing the best I could. That it was a function of unconscious bias, as Teresa talked about, or just many years of suppressing it. And I felt concerned because I was wanting connection with Justin around it still. And the beauty of this was because Justin happened to be right there when I was doing this little demonstration, and I started crying because I was expressing, what I was feeling around it. And when I got to the concern and the connection part, he said, I can't remember exactly what he said, but he reached over and hugged me because it's okay, Mom, And just that, I got my need for connection met in that moment, because that's all I wanted, was in terms of being concerned with my connection with him. So I didn't plan that, by the way, that just happened to happen. So that's an example of how you play this version of the game. There's several versions of the game, but that's one example. There's the process of, there's observations, feelings, needs, and requests. So my observation was, when I think about Justin and my calling him a brat when he was 5, I felt these because I was needing these things. And then there's the strategy. So you come up with a strategy. And we're only going to, for purposes of time and everything today, just work on the feelings and needs part, but I can walk you through how the strategy part works from there. But the reason why this game works so well is because being heard is akin to being loved. Oops. 1 second. Sorry guys, technological. Okay. And what happens when we don't avoid sadness is we get an immense sense of compassion for ourselves. Feeling through sadness and allowing the tears to flow gives rise to spontaneously, naturally, and completely a desire to be of benefit to others. It's really kind of a miracle feeling thing that happens, actually. So, today we're going to look inside a bit to what's underneath some of the feelings you may be having, what needs are underlying that. So I was wondering if there is any volunteers that may have, this should be a minor conflict, it could just be some, basically if you have a negative feeling about something, I can help facilitate you through this game if you're willing to. Do I have any volunteers? Yay, okay, awesome.
I have the big one.
Okay. Now, this, actually, we're going to have to do this. The one thing I was thinking of. Okay. What is your name? I'm sorry.
Kathy.
Kathy, I can remember that. I'm Kathy. Yeah. Thank you. So, would you like to share what it is?
I still haven't figured out which one.
That's okay.
Is it something that I've done that I regret? Or
It
just
can
a
be
feeling?
anything. So
All
it can be
right.
something you regret. It can be something that happened this morning. It could be something that's anything.
Okay. Okay, I was driving in the New York, New Jersey traffic, and it was dark. And my daughter was really worried about why her stomach was upset. So we started talking about, well, gee, what could it be? Could it be dairy? Could it be that, blah, blah? And so we said, well, you know, I don't know why we were talking about it in that kind of traffic. Maybe, you know, we could try for a while, you know, give up dairy. I can't give up dairy because then I won't have whipped cream. And so it went on to the point where she started to scream bloody murder in my ears while I'm driving. And I don't remember exactly what I said, but the effing word came out. And I said, this can't be happening while I'm trying to get this traffic. I can't pull over.
Right.
So anyway, that.
Okay.
And then later when she calmed down, we were still driving. Mom, that was inappropriate what you said to me.
God, I love unschoolers.
I said, I'm not. And I said, I know, I'm sorry. But sometimes a well-placed swear really helps.
Okay, awesome. Right. I mean, that conversation followed and you get, yeah, cool. But as I kind of illustrated, that doesn't always mean it's fixed for us.
Right.
Yeah. So what I'd like you to do, so the observation from that would be something like, when I think about how I responded, what's your daughter's name? Rebecca. How I responded to Rebecca, and I'm sorry, when would this happen? You said,
This was on the way here.
on the way here, okay. So when I think about how I responded on the way here to Rebecca, and over her stomach problems?
Yeah.
Or something like that. Okay, so we don't, it's observation. You don't hear any evaluation there. Okay, so when you think about that, go through the feeling cards, and what feelings come up for you?
Oh, yes, irritated.
Yes, feel free to.
Tense and stressed. Confused, because I don't know what's going on. Disheartened because I don't know what to do for her. Torn because I want it to go away. I don't want to have to deal with it. And I'm worried. Do you want all of them?
As many as you resonate with.
Okay, overwhelmed. Frustrated, because we've been through this before. Angry and furious. Upset.
People also need to understand, like, we're from Maine. The traffic down here, this is not like normal anxiety for us. Like,
Yeah.
It's insane.
It is insane.
And people are like, oh, she was driving traffic, she was anxious. No, like, it's bad.
It's hell. Yeah.
Why did that person go in there? Oh my God, I can't go. You're supposed to be in the left lane. The left lane! I'm in the right lane!
Okay, that's good. When the needs come around, I'm thinking that's
You
good.
really need to understand, like, the visceral reaction from this.
I live here and I feel that bad.
That's pretty much it. I could pick a few more, but those are the
That's
big
fine.
ones.
Okay, great. Now, what I'd like you to do, so, great. Now, when you're doing this, and you, believe me, I've done it where there's more feelings in this.
Okay.
Okay, so, you know, what'll happen is you'll find that so now what I'd like you to do is go through the need cards and find the underlying needs of these feelings.
Of each feeling?
Yeah, now what'll happen is you can have an unmet need that would go for several feelings. So,
Okay.
you know, it's not about exactly every single one. And if you don't, that's okay too. But just go through the needs cards and pick out the needs that went unmet for you in this example.
I was gonna say, don't, if it was in the past, I could probably pull them all out.
Take your time. The other piece to this part of this game is slowing it down, right? Slowing it down so you can really...
I was really worried about our safety.
1 second. Okay, go ahead.
I was really worried about our safety.
Okay, so is there... where would you place that one, just in terms of what that... So I was feeling... Worried because
I was so worried
because you had
that
a
we
need
were
for
gonna get an
safety.
accident.
Yeah, of course. Right. While you do that, I'm gonna... Did you have a question?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Take your time.
Yeah, I mean, this looks like the most unfun game I've ever heard. So how do you get your family, like, or do you do it as a family, or do you just do it alone? Like, how does this come, like, how
Great question, right? Okay.
I didn't think of that.
Right.
Well, you act really excited. You want to play this game? No, actually, you can do it. You can do it alone. You can play it like solitaire, which is what I did this morning. Right? That was my solitaire game version of it. And yes, you can also play with your family, and you can play it for whatever's up for you. For how we've done it in the past, and I can give you a beautiful example of how it works too. My husband Joe, who's sitting right over there. We were spitting mad at each other because, believe it or not, over something so small, right? It was over vacation plans, what we were going to do to go to Disney, okay? But obviously this is a pent-up thing, right? But we could not agree on our plans. And we had a bunch of, both of us, you know, we were just, I don't know if you guys have ever been really angry at your spouse or not, so maybe you relate or not, but we were so... So we knew, I knew, he knew we were going to be in an old pattern, right? Could go on for much longer than we would enjoy. So, knowledge of the game, we had the game, you know, I brought it into the house as soon as I learned about it. And I said, well, I call it the board. So I said, let's go to the boards, you know. And I kid you not, in 10 minutes, we had shifted and had reached a point of connection, which for us was nothing short of a miracle, because really, you know, I don't know if you guys can relate, but, you know, when you're in old patterns, when you're in that old unconscious bias type patterns, you're, you know, repeating maybe how your parents argued or whatever, it can go on for a while, you know? And that's a whole other workshop in itself. But we sat down and we came up with an observation that we both agreed on. And then we both, this was a little bit different version of the game than we're doing here. Again, anyone interested, I'd be happy to show you. I did bring the boards, they're in my room. But, and that version of the game is we came up with an observation that we both agreed on. I can't remember exactly what it was, you know, when we think about what our plans are for vacation. And then he went through the feelings cards and the needs cards on his board and picked out the feelings that came up for him. And then the needs that came up for him underneath it, which is what she's doing right now. And then I did it for me. Feelings that came up for me, needs came up for me. And then when we were both done, there's a variety of ways that you can do this, but play this game. But what we did, then we switched roles. Like I went over to his board and he came over to my board. And he read, or we took turns and he went first, I think it was. But anyway, he read the feelings that came up for me. So he said the observation, and he read my feelings and the needs that I was needing. And then I did the same for him. I read his feelings and the needs underlying his feelings. And that's where the magic takes place, right? That's where we both felt heard. And what is feeling heard? Feeling heard is akin to feeling loved. And that's when the shift took place. And it took 10 minutes. The time-consuming part, not time-consuming, but the time took to go through our own feelings and our own needs, and then being seen and heard through the structure of the game, right? We couldn't have done it without the structure of the game. We were spitting mad. We were very angry. And in 10 minutes, we totally felt connected and made our plans for Disney.
Yeah, I mean, the game took 10 minutes, but it probably took about 10 years to try to form the habit to go to the board. Now, we call it go to the board because it had come to the board that we play off of. But when we first started this, if we were really, really angry, it was tough to go to the board because it was too angry, and you almost don't care. Like, I'm not going to play this game. I'm really mad, and this happens every single time. And we get in the same fight every single time. We're not going to go to the game. But if you can go there and just like, so I'm just trying to suspend my anger for just 2 seconds and get lined up and play the game, something does happen. When you can name label your feelings and you know that she's listening or he's listening, it compels you to keep moving forward. And the first time, some of the options may not just be observation, it may be a little bit of evaluation thrown in there. So it gets difficult at first, but I think it's like anything else in life. The more you attempt it, try it, the better you get at it. The more you really understand what you're trying to arrive at, and just the harmony with your partner. And all of a sudden, the vacation plans is not what's important, but connecting is what's important. And the game is set up to do that because you're dealing with basic feelings. And I would say after maybe a dozen times, we got pretty good at it. And when I could be really mad, and she'd say, "Let's go to the boards." And I'd say back, "This is mad." "Okay, let's go to the board." We'll go to the boards already. So, and the time to resolve it would be, a little quicker and quicker and quicker. And then there'd be times I just sit and look at her and go, "All right, I'm cool. You go, we got this."
Yeah.
But it does take practice.
Yeah.
Does the board come with like so that you both can do it? Like, is it anger more than once?
Let me.
So that,
Like 2 sets of cards.
yeah, like 2 sets of cards in one, when you buy the game, or like,
Yeah, you can actually, you can buy the game. I'm going to show you the game board here in just a second. I'll find it on my thing. And when you buy the game, it comes with the game board and 2 decks of cards. Yeah, 2 decks of cards. Or you can just buy the cards. And real quick, I'm going to show you the game board, and then you're about ready? Okay, so let me just show you the game board real quick, since if I can do this.
So Kathy, can I add something while
Yes.
you're doing that?
Okay, yes, please do.
So one of the things in some of Daniel Siegel's work that I talked about yesterday in my session is in terms of that brain development and attunement, that being seen and heard is what creates attachment and attunement and integration. And so I think what's being talked about in terms of that being heard, one, understanding your own inner process and what you're experiencing, and then being able to hear and understand another person's, that attunement is really critical in terms of for parents and children, for partners, any kind of relationships, in terms of the brain development. So I think it's a really powerful example of that being heard, and it is love because in the brain, that's exactly what's going on.
I'd love to work up yours. Yes.
Did you find that using it then improved, did it bleed into your overall communication? Because there are times where you're in a car, you're not, you know what I mean? Like, has it improved your ability to overall, has it led into other?
I would definitely say yes. I would definitely say yes. I mean, and it's almost, not imaginary, but it's almost unseen though. You know, like it's not like I realize this is because we've done this and played this game. You know, it's more like I noticed our relationship has changed over the years and gotten better at communication. You know, and looking back over a period of time. Yes.
It remembers me of the imago techniques. I don't know if you know imago. On the couple, you one is talking, the other repeats everything. So you have to be actively listening. And usually it's the same effect, but it's longer. Perhaps it's during 1 hour. It's better if there is a therapist. That is the third person that is listening.
Okay.
And it's really powerful. You feel like so much in love after all, because you are entering into the other's world, and you just forget your world, and you just enter into his, repeating his world. And usually we can also see what is in the past, in the childhood, what are the keys to those feelings at the end, what things happen in your past that create always those reactions. And so then you understand the other one, and you are not mad anymore, because you just understand. That's all.
Yeah.
It's really powerful.
It is because, 1 second, I won't get to you. It is because also the process of this, depending on the issue, obviously, in terms of a really deep, big argument, you really realize, you kind of see what the unconscious bias was, you see, oh, wow, I can remember when I was a kid, I'm seeing now where these feelings are really attached to, right? They had nothing really to do with the present.
It's all about those unmet.
All about, yeah.
From our childhood.
Right, exactly.
What about if your feelings, especially the stuff that's coming from a long time ago, like that you're just not in tune with them, where it's like you can't identify those things? Have you ever experienced somebody that's like that, where they're like, no, stop bothering me, like they're just not, is it just so down deep that it's just impossible to, like, how do you tap into that if you're just not mindful of it, or you feel that it's not bothered you and you're just, ignoring it?
So now you're talking about someone,
Someone
for
else.
yourself, so for
Oh,
someone
yeah,
else.
I'm explosive with my.
Yeah, right.
That's not.
Okay, so,
I don't keep things down. Where, I don't know.
so you're meaning like if you're wanting to get someone to like play the game with you perhaps at least, and
Yeah.
to see if they'd be willing? Yeah, they gotta be willing.
Right, but if
Yeah.
the feelings
Oh.
are so far that they can't connect to them, how do you help somebody connect to those feelings?
It's a process, and it takes, it's like anything. But when you go through the feelings, I have a couple decks out here, you guys can just check out. I'm looking through, when you start looking at the feelings and then just being a little bit in tune with your body, you don't have to be a lot, right? Because it just pops up and there it is. You realize that this feeling, where you didn't realize it 5 minutes ago, right? But you realize it now. So in that moment, he or she, may think, oh, it's so far down, I don't feel anything, numb, which is it. But once you begin the process of being acquainted with, a feelings list or whatever, a vocabulary of feelings, you get better at it, right? Or you begin to notice more of what your body is telling you in terms of that. That's my experience. Good question, yes.
I was just thinking that in the beginning when you said write down your emotion, I'm like, I wish I had a list because
Yes.
I'm just so lost. I mean, I hate to sound like a 5-year-old, but I literally like angry, sad. Yeah, that's pretty much like
You are not alone. You
So
are
I think
not.
the cards actually
Yeah.
do help.
They do. They build your vocabulary. Absolutely. And there's lists too that you can actually get, off the web and stuff. Yeah.
So on her, you can't identify the feeling, but I feel right where I can identify the need. Like, how do I know what the need is?
Yeah.
Or in the child at that moment, I know I'm feeling sad. How can I ask the 8-year-old, or how can I interpret what that feeling is that he needs? What is he needing more connection with me? Is he needing more connection with his brother? Can I just ask him that, or like, how does a 5 or 8-year-old tell you what the need is?
Right. That's a great question as well. And again, it's kind of, you introduce the game or, to him or her, just like I did to the group of, kids in my class. And it takes a while, it takes a while. Guessing isn't about getting it right, really. It's about them. If they correct you, great, right? They corrected you because now they've gotten a little bit more clear on what it was they might be feeling or needing. So you don't even have to get it right. You don't even have to. So you're needing, love. What do you need? Some understanding. And kids, amazingly, because they don't have the extra layers of conditioning and suppression that we have, you will be amazed, I'm guessing, at their ability to at least. They may not use that word. They may change the word a little bit, but you'll get it. You'll know what they mean, kind of thing. And over time, it becomes a tool that they can just be more familiar with it, because they'll have built their vocabulary up, and that's the beauty of it, of introducing it to our kids, right? It's because they get a vocabulary that we never did, and so they got a little extra tool in their their bell. Any other questions right for now? When we'll go to Kathy. Okay, so yeah, so just go through, maybe I'll state the observation again, and you can just go through the feelings and
Okay.
out loud, and then the needs under.
They're hard. With these feelings, it's hard to put them underneath. So some of them are like. So
Yeah.
I grouped them into categories. Fear wasn't in there.
Fear, the feeling of fear?
Yeah, that
I
was
think
huge.
it's scared.
I was really scared
Okay, here, let me
that I
just.
would get whapped upside the head and then turn the steering wheel or something. Okay, so
When you think about how you responded to Rebecca
yep,
in traffic
yep,
the other day,
yep.
you felt.
I was furious. I needed safety. I needed to be heard. I never say shut up, but I felt that. I was upset and I knew that I was driving and I needed to feel at peace. I was tense and I needed to be understood that this was not easy to be driving and having an argument at the same time. I was irritated because I wanted cooperation. And I was really torn. I wanted clarity of understanding what she was going through, but I also wanted some help and support because I was the driver, and I was scared. I was disheartened and confused about this food and stomach issue, so I needed help. Being worried and anxious about what's going on with her. I wanted more power in my world. I want to solve it. And I wanted to feel competent. Like, I don't know a lot about alternative medicine and herbal stuff, but I know it's good. But I have never really delved into it, so I feel like I need some competence there. And because I was feeling frustrated and overwhelmed, I really needed empathy. I wanted to feel empathy toward my daughter, but I needed empathy as a mother driving. And through the whole thing, I just wanted harmony and connection, with my husband and my daughter.
Yeah, awesome.
That's interesting. My daughter cannot name her emotions. She's never been able to.
The office
This might
these
help.
cards.
Yeah, this might help.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Well, hand clap for that. One real quick, Kat, so how do you feel? No, I just want to follow up. So how are you feeling now?
A little lighter,
Yeah.
a
Awesome.
little nervous about being up there. Feeling like.
You did, which is what the hand clap is for, right? You did amazing. Brave soul. Awesome. Thank you. Question?
About the need of cooperation and support, is it possible to have those needs that depend a little bit on the other one?
Very good question. So this part can get tricky, and this takes a little bit of experience after you get to, be familiar with a needs vocabulary. But the underlying need is not a need to be met by someone else. It's a need to be met by yourself. And in fact, I thought of a kind of a good example. I'm going to use yours if you don't mind. Right. Darn it. Right. And in the learning process, believe me, a lot of times it was I wanted a need that he was going to meet. So that's the process. That's the learning curve, And ditto, right? Same back. And you're like, okay, no, that can't work. I got to figure out really what's the need here. So let's take Kathy's for instance. I'm sorry. Hold on. She felt worried and anxious because she wanted power with her world and competence. And you spoke of alternative medicines, and she didn't feel like she knew much about alternative medicines. So the request piece, right? Observation, feeling, need, request piece that would then follow is, so how can she meet her need for competence in alternative medicines? So she might think, well, maybe I'll go read up on it a little bit. Not in the car, I mean, obviously. Please don't do it in the car.
Watch a YouTube video.
Yeah, right. But so at a later time, so that's how she can meet her need for competence. And that's how that kind of then was resolved. And in the sense of taking an action step to meet her own needs. So the strategy to meet her need for confidence would be to, do more, take a class. I mean, you could begin to go all over the board in terms of, so.
But I think the question is, what about her need for cooperation?
Oh.
In that moment, she needed Rebecca to stop screaming because she needed to focus. And so I think the question is that that's a need that she has that is now being put on Rebecca, which, that's the question. Can you have
Gotcha.
needs that are reliant on other people?
You can. Oh, you can. Right. It's not the model to get where you want to go. In other words, you could get caught up in, I can't, this doesn't, I don't know why this shows, but this is the board, and, technology. That wasn't there. What you would see is, so you got requests, needs, and this is feelings, and this is observation, and then what they did when they designed the game, over here is the fault zone. Okay, so this is it's the no fault game. You go observations, feeling, needs, request. Okay, you're in the no fault zone. When you're in the fault zone, which is over here and here, and you can be in there if you so choose, you're blaming, your criticism. Oh, here we go. Yeah, you know them all, right? Blaming, criticism. You're blaming other people, etc. So, in answer to your question, if or you're wanting someone else to meet your needs, instead of yourself. So for this one, okay. So you were wanting cooperation, and can you expound on that a little bit, and then maybe I can help get you to the need you're wanting to, so that you can.
I just wanted her to cooperate and be quiet.
Right.
I was fine discussing it, but the screaming in my ear was not okay.
Okay, so beautiful. So while it certainly sounded, right, like she wanted her to do something to meet her need for cooperation, the question then would be to you. So I'm feeling irritated, and I'm needing cooperation. So what would you be willing to do to meet your need for cooperation? One thing that might pop into mind is, maybe would you consider asking her to stop screaming?
Oh, that had already happened.
Right, okay, and I realize that, but, and so at this juncture, what you might do is, what did you do, and what would you have rather done differently? What strategy might you have done in that situation that would have maybe helped things that you could think of to meet your need for cooperation?
Well, after the fact, I don't know. As a prevention, to not talk about food at all in the car.
Beautiful, right?
I mean, she wants to. When she wants to talk about something, she wants to talk about it.
So in order to meet your need for cooperation, if that were to happen again, you'd maybe set some limits there. Does that help explain, like, how you, it's
It kind of does. I'm
hard.
trying to get to, because, I know in the way, I did a lot of nonviolent communication workshops and stuff, and then a lot of it gets boiled down because I personally don't have the patience to use the language but we live our life in this sort of way of understanding. So while I don't necessarily use the right words, I think as a family we're pretty good. And I guess where I've come from it is I meet their requests so many times, and we work together as a team, that when I make the request for them to stop screaming because I'm driving, that would happen in my family, because it's just been so, that's what we do. But when I'm working with families who are coming at this from a new situation, the bottom line is, in that moment, for their safety, she kind of needed obedience. She needed Rebecca to stop screaming. And when families are new to this, that's a really hard thing to kind of cope with.
I'm not.
Do you see what I'm getting at? It's something that, if you've been doing it all along, those needs and requests really come out in a healthiher way. And how do you work with somebody who's brand new to this, and it's not going to come out? Yeah, she absolutely can tell Rebecca, when we're in the car, we're not going to talk about dairy.
And then she started screaming about that.
Right. So how do you pull that sort of cooperation, that understanding? I mean, I guess the answer is it just takes time. It just takes constant repeat,
It does, and two things is, I didn't lose it. When you, you said obedient. Yeah, I don't know if that is a basic human need. Now, I'm not.
You know, I agree with that, but sometimes it's apparent to me. I mean, I remember a time, no, I'm not kidding, I remember a time I had 4 kids, just me, at the airport, we got caught in traffic, we were running late. I turned around and I said to my kids, because we had to get through security, blah, 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 I said, for the next 20 minutes, I need obedience. I don't need, we do a lot of, I need obedience. And all my kids were like, that's great, Mom, you know? And so when we got out of the car, and it sounds like I'm barking orders, and if any of you had sort of passed me, you would have been like, whoa.
Yeah, that's authoritarian parent.
Yeah, that's authoritarian parent, but because they prepared my kids for it, and I warned them, like, we're really late, so they got out of the car, it was like, Aaron, get your sister, you get that suitcase, you know? And we went, and we did it, we got through it. As soon as we got on the airplane, everybody was like, and Aaron's like, can we go back to being a regular? Like, absolutely.
Right.
Perfect. Like, that's it.
Okay, that's.
So,
You need the cooperation to accomplish
right. And so, you know, when you say things like that, so, I don't know, that's.
No, I love that example. So, in essence, they heard. What they didn't hear what maybe someone else observing might have heard you as being authoritarian. No, what they heard was, you know, you had a need for some understanding that you were stressed out and they needed to be quiet.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, that's what they heard.
Yeah.
In some way, obviously. I mean, or some version of their language.
Yeah, they need to cooperate.
Yeah.
I use the word obedience because my kids laugh about that word all the time.
Exactly. And
Like, what are we, puppies?
Well, and normally in our lives, we have time to tell our kids why we're asking them to do something. And you know, because we might be late and your sister really needs to eat, and you know, we take the time to do that. But in that moment, you didn't have the time.
I need to be, and again, like, if you're passing, like, why are her children in a line? Seriously.
well, and it's true too. 1 second. Once you do this, and at first it is, you know how anything is, you want to go by the structure until you get it down, and then you wing it. You know, you in terms of you kind of blend it, and like you were saying, you don't use the exact words maybe every single time, but the intention behind it, the energy behind it is infiltrated in the NBC. And so Claudine, or then you, or you.
Well, I was just thinking, like, if her daughter was feeling like maybe her needs weren't being met at that moment because she was worried about what was going on. Really, her mom's need was a physical thing, like, maybe I would say, or, like, physically right now, I need quiet because I can't hear or I can't focus on the road. It has nothing to do with how they're feeling. You know, when we're done, we're out of this situation, then we can, you know, look up non-dairy with cream or however you want to make them feel like you're hearing them. But at the moment, it's really not an emotional thing, like as far as what I would be feeling.
Oh, it's emotional.
But it's like a physical, because you're in an actual situation. You're not sitting in a living room talking about, you know, the dairy problem. You're in something that's happening, moving, happening.
I thought I could have been calmer. I could have been calmer, maybe if I were a New York driver.
Right.
It was a tough spot to be in.
Yeah.
Could you stop the car?
Say that again?
Could you stop the car?
No, if I had been home and I knew where I could pull off safely, I'd have done that.
But you're in an uncontrollable environment,
Right.
and that's a stressful
You
environment.
could pull off safely anywhere, I mean, like,
Right.
seriously, like, there's no other cars.
Was she able to be, like, could you say, and I have a child who is sometimes not using it anymore, but could you say to her, look, I really want you to have to say, but right now, I can see about all of her physical safety. I do not want us to die.
She has to go through the emotion and get to the other side. It's mental health issues.
Okay, I think Jerry, and then you, and then you, if you can remember my order. Okay.
So, kudos to you first for introducing me to Naomi Alder, what raising children, raising ourselves. One of the things that I've experimented with and had some success, I'm not super great at it, is when a child is really upset, to kind of speak to them to what they're feeling. You're really upset about this right now, you're really concerned about it, and essentially it's kind of like mirroring back what they're feeling, and they feel like you're getting it.
It's kind of like dialectical behavior therapy, which we did 2 weeks of training. And so we do that
So
as much as I can.
yeah, I mean, it's
But
super
when I
hard in that situation.
when I'm not in my
Yeah,
higher
Calm
self,
state.
yeah.
when I'm in no mom,
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
And what this process does,
that kind of stuff happens even when we're not driving, but
yeah,
I can leave the room.
But I think it's important also to recognize that every single one of us has been there.
Yes.
Oh,
I mean, every one of us has said things to our kids.
Yeah,
You know,
this morning.
yeah.
We've all done it, and so I feel like there's such a culture of judging other people, and you know, in this room, obviously, we don't do that because there has to be. I just wish as a society we had this underlying level of understanding. You know, like when you do see somebody barking at their kids at the airport, not jumping to any conclusions about that person's parenting or
They're stressed and they have an unmet need.
right. Like, can we just everybody chill out? You
Right.
need to. Or you're gonna. Exactly.
Exactly.
Well, first, I mean, I think that we could probably spend the entire Florida conference just all airing like their laundry of like what we did as parents that we really regret. So, yeah, thank you for airing some of yours to all of us. It was really great. Thank you. And my question to you is, when and how did you first start using this with Justin? I mean, my daughter's 4,
Okay.
and I'm kind of wondering, she will be in a month, but I'm kind of wondering, like, how do you start, when and how do you start doing this with a child, with your children?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, were you here at the very beginning?
I was not.
Okay, no, that's okay, I wasn't sure. I'm sorry. I was thinking, well, did I say this or not? No. But when, okay, good, no, that's good, I don't mind at all, it's worth repeating. No, when he was 4, this isn't the answer like you should do this too, but what I'm saying is, when he was 4, I created and designed a class called All About Feelings for him and his peers. This is something, though, you can do with your children just in home, okay? And basically what I did was, it started out with, I'd get these group of kids together and I'd say the first thing that we did every time we met, and we went for like met twice a week for 8 to 10 weeks, and I did it for a couple of semesters, that kind of thing. I had poster boards, like the big poster boards, and I had markers, and each one we called them feelings boards, and we'd spend the first 10 minutes of the class, and they would write down, I'm sorry, not write, because they were 4 to 6, they could, but I had them draw what they were feeling right now. A little bit of what I asked you guys in the beginning, write down what you were feeling right now. I had them draw what they were feeling right now. And they would spend, about 10 minutes drawing whatever they were feeling. I would then go around and ask, what's the feeling? And then I'd write the feeling on the board. So that was just a process to help them get a feelings vocabulary. And so we do that. And then I would spend the rest of the class playing some kind of games. I can't think of their names, but some people, wonderful people, created a book called The Giraffe Classroom. It's based on NBC. So I didn't have to reinvent the wheel. Yeah, so I didn't have to reinvent the wheel. And I would take games from this book and incorporate into the class. Things that you could do within just your family, though, too, as well. So that was some of the things that, we did. I did, I should say. Then the game actually didn't come out until I think Justin was 13 or something is when the game came out, and then I got the game and then incorporated it into our family. But
Do you have any, you mean like the game wasn't released until?
they hadn't created it.
Right.
Yeah.
So now that you have been working with this game for so long, do you have any suggestions of how to use it with younger children?
Yeah, I can give you the information where you can actually go to the site. It's the No Fault Zone. If you Googled it, and because Sarah Hart and Victoria Kendall Hudson actually created the game, and they give all kinds of various ways to play it. Yeah, today I can actually give you something as well. I can give you the sheet that comes with the game that tells you all these various different ways to play it, and then you could go to the website later. Yeah, you're welcome. I'll talk with you after. Yes.
This is in relation about the bias, because when I'm driving, in the back of my mind,
mine is my stepfather driving, playing music, which I hate. We absolutely have to be quiet, not only in the car, but at home. And so, you know, part of me is like, what the? I could never do that, you know?
Yes. 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 That's a big piece.
Should be able to do
I
that.
should have been able to do that. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Oh, and in many instances with parent-child, I feel that. Right. It's like. Anybody else? Any other questions? Oh. Go ahead.
The giraffe book, I just wanted the name of the giraffe.
It's called The Compassionate Classroom.
What's the other puppet? There was a giraffe?
It's a jackal and a giraffe.
A jackal.
And basically that is again, it's just, and I had those puppets in the class, and it's a good way to learn the difference between jackal language, which is what he chose the jackal animal to represent blame, criticism, you know, which is how we all learn to communicate, you know, again, no fault kind of thingy, it's how we all were brought up. And giraffe language is the feelings, needs language. And so to just kind of be able to differentiate, oh, I'm kind of in a jackal mindset right now, right? Any other questions? Did you?
So do you find, it seems like you've been doing a lot of nonviolent, more effective communication all the time. Do you find that this is the most effective, for you and your opinion, the most effective tool, technique?
The most effective tool for de-escalating conflict and getting to the heart of the matter. Yeah, definitely.
So, I'm wondering, have you used this tool effectively or have you heard it used effectively with individuals who have Asperger's? So either there's different theories, but either they take on other people's feelings too strongly and have an excess of empathy, or perhaps have trouble perspective taking. So
I haven't, played this game or had any kids. No, I haven't. It'd be interesting to see, how that might be tweaked or how it might be elaborated on, maybe even.
okay, because this is a big thing in our family.
Yeah,
Plays
no.
into the dynamics of the lot.
I would be interested to see if just playing it as the various ways that you can play it, including the one we did here today, and see what happens. And that might kind of then, give you an idea. I have like 4 decks. You're welcome to borrow them while I'm here. We're here till Sunday, if you want. Yeah, sure. Cool. Anybody else? Yes.
I was just going to say we have a group called Unschooled with Special Needs, and we have a file section, we have lots of resources there, and you can also just ask in the group, like, is there anybody who has some tools for that kind of stuff? Because there are a lot of people there that are doing that.
You mean online?
Yeah, it's on Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah, Unschooled with Special Needs. And Julia, I was telling you that she's one of the main moderators of that group. She's here yesterday. Lots of resources, and from an unschooling perspective, from a peaceful parenting perspective. So, yeah.
Anybody else? Any other questions or comments? No? Thank you. Oh, Teresa.
Amy's comment reminded me of judgment, and how we perceive judgment, and I often think about how hard I am on myself, and my judgment of myself gets reflected in other people. So the less I am judgmental of my own behavior, like when the F word comes out and I'm in the car and I'm screaming, I go into that judgment mode about how I should be different than I was. And I was what I was. And so that sort of self-compassion, and the more that I'm able to practice that self-compassion and accept my humanity and my imperfections, then the less I notice that other people are judging me, the less I perceive other people are judging my behavior. Because I'm not judging it, I still judge it. But, yeah, I'm always in that cycle of, oh, there's the judgment coming up.
Yeah.
Right, oh, I'm noticing that I'm judging myself. Well, that makes it a little bit less difficult when I notice that I'm judging myself and I'm, not just holding it in my body or in my stomach, but I'm like, oh, there it is. There's the judgment of how I think I'm not terrible.
I find
Exactly.
that when I can judge myself less, then I'm less judgmental of other people.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
That whole thing is awesome.
And that's the beauty, like I said, when we were in the a huge fight and like that, that's what you realize. It's like, you know, after a short amount of time, you know, I love this guy, you know, and I want to kill him 10 minutes earlier. I mean, you know, yes, because I felt hurt and I wasn't judging myself, and so therefore I was less, yeah.
Did you end up coming to a compromise? What was the result?
Yeah, where'd you go?
Where
I got my way. No. I might have really got my way. I think he even said you got your way. Because he was wrong. No, I'm just kidding. Let's go, right? I got him with me in my room. No.
There's gotta be a male-female version of this game, right? So male says you're just wrong. Female right?
Oh, too
The
funny.
thing is that when you do enough, you do find, you can look at the cards when you're done and you have a type of resolution between both of you, and you can kind of get a feeling of how you feel and what your needs are. And the last one we did just a couple of weeks ago, Justin was there. You know, he looked at when we were done resolving something. He goes, Dad, you're a man of few needs, but you have a lot of feelings.
That was great. That was great.
I think
Yeah.
it's so great because, I mean, my husband is not in touch with his feelings, you know, and just being able to name them and look through that list is so good.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Justin, what has it been like for you? Like, growing up since you were 4 and 13, like, with these resources? And also, like, I think that's really cool, like, that you kind of see your parents using it like that. Like, what is your experience with this?
I mean, I don't know any different. So, but I also do realize that not everybody has like all these resources, and two parents are very open with their feelings to each other and to me. But yeah, I definitely take advantage of it. And I definitely say exactly what I'm feeling, and sometimes I don't like that. But yeah, it's a very good thing, and I'm proud of the work that they've. Because I know it's not easy, you know, especially because they didn't grow up like I did, which was always able to express my feelings to my family or whatever. And so I'm glad that they did find all these resources that helped the family and my bigger family, because now I know what to do, you know, and I have resources. So I'm set up.
So
Really
you
well.
didn't really ever feel like, God, do we have to do this right now?
Oh yeah, I did.
Oh, you did?
Oh yeah. Because at first, especially with this, I was like, this is really stupid. I was like, this is a bad idea. But then when I finally got, okay, I'll do it. It does help. It really does help. And at first, I thought it was super lame because I was like 14, 15. I was like, this is stupid. Like this is lame. But when I finally got around to doing it, I was like, okay, this helps. This is fine. This can stay.
Can you tell my 16-year-old that?
I'll try.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool that you see them doing, because I don't know, my parents, if they ever fought, they went out to the car and locked the doors and turned on the radio, so we wouldn't hear. And I mean, it's something that we try with our daughter to have her see us have conflicts and resolve those conflicts, because we think it's valuable for her. And I think that that's really amazing that you've been so open also about the fact that you are two humans who sometimes disagree, but you still really love each other. That's a really cool and powerful thing to show your children. Good job.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? I got emotional there. I still want to have you, I'm sorry, and then you.
So when I have a discussion with my husband, it's not that we get animated and our voices rise. And I don't know how this happened, but my son thinks we're going to get a divorce.
Yeah, I mean.
And I never expressed to him that was my fear. My household was a little bit, twice it was physically violent, me growing up. And so every time my parents went, I was like, that's it, we're headed for divorce. But my son sees that. And I'm like, I'm not headed for divorce. I like your dad. He's my best friend. And people can communicate and have discussions and lively. It doesn't mean we're angry. And if we're angry, it's okay.
Right.
How do I reassure, or just, do I have more discussions?
I mean, that would come up for me, yeah. Over a period of time, it's never too many, right? It's repetition that he sees you argue, you fight, he feels what he feels, he's afraid, you talk to him and say, no, this is we're working through our problems, whatever language works for you. And he may still do it. It may take time. It may be years. Because, and you want to do the game, you can maybe find out what's underneath that for him, right? So he can be heard around what's going on for him when he sees you fight.
Well, it's like I heard also somebody saying they see us fight and they never see us make love or being in another. So not that we, but that they also see the caring and not only the fighting.
Yeah.
They see the resolution of the conflict, just the conflict.
So we kissed a lot.
Yeah.
When he was old enough, we started, I think, with the homeschooling and allowing our feelings and discussions happen more. I think for him it was, he never saw us argue. And so it was scary. Because he always saw the kissy. He never saw arguing.
Yeah, so seeing arguing.
It was divorce.
Yeah.
I think also if his friends have any of that situation going, like it can be fear. Just he hears it. So he knows that, Johnny's parents are getting divorced and it's because they fought a lot or whatever Johnny told them. My parents don't live together anymore because they fought a lot and he sees you two fighting and like the next piece is obviously.
And that's what you would find out when discussions, right? You'd see what was going on.
It's not a really deep-seated fear. It's well, in this family, it's the next step, right?
It's a fear and acknowledge the fear and acknowledge, instead of saying, no, don't say that. Oh, I see your fear that we are in divorce. Acknowledging the fear, the feelings.
You say, no, we'll just have this discussion until Dad realizes he's wrong.
In the yellow. Did you?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of see if, what happened, I grew up in, I couldn't have emotions and it was abusive and a lot of trauma from my childhood. And so feelings are terrifying to me.
Right.
And especially expressing them. Because of the fear of how, not that, it's just that that's what's inside, that was an experience. So now it's very hard for me to kind of, even though I don't hear it out and I'm very exposed with them, but it's still fearful for me to express them in a calm environment, I guess.
Yeah.
And then there's also, the concept of where you're just, my husband's family doesn't have emotion. They're not allowed to have it, period. They just say, okay, they don't have to talk about it, and then it's done, and they're just going to hold on to it forever. So they were coming from two completely different expressive areas, so it is a big challenge where I don't even know if we can sit down and do this. To me, the thought of doing this is horrifying.
Well,
So how do you get past that?
I'm glad you brought that up. And I don't show you, I don't have the rest of this, but what this has down here is hot and cold and calm alert. And you also, when you buy the game, you get a little token piece. So if you go to the boards very angry, first of all, you take your temperature. And, it's just like you said, sometimes we, depending on our family background, we might, be explosive, but sometimes we shut down and we're cold. So we would put our token at the cold side, or hot. So you each take your temperature first. And if you're not at a place of calm alert, then you come up with strategies that will help each of you to get there. So like maybe the one who's really hot says, I need to take a walk first. I can't even sit down and do this. I need to go walk.
Wait until you get there.
So you wait till you get there and you just keep checking in with each other. And it may be, let's set a time we can talk about this tomorrow. Okay, you come up with an agreement, both agree on it, so where you could, come to it fresh and be in that place of calm alert. Thank you, that was a great question on the board. I didn't get a chance to say that.
So this works best for families and smaller groups, right? Have you ever used this for a bigger group or?
At the No Fault Zone site, if you do Google, they recently went into China or something and did this, and they now have a big, huge mat that I haven't had a chance to explore, but my answer I'm thinking is, they've gone there. And that would be, I know, wouldn't that be cool? I'm going to check it out as well, because,
School co-op can be.
I get to sell it out. Yeah. I bet. Anybody else? Well, awesome. Thank you guys so much. Yeah.